militaries working combined together against Russia. In this regard, we are at the start of a direct war by Britain, America, and France against a nuclear power, that is Russia. American missiles against our territory. This is a clear escalation, says Russia, of war. When asked if Russia will use nuclear missiles, can you imagine a nuclear winter? Can you imagine we actually see a nuclear Christmas? I guess we would kind of like have to just sit back and think about what kind of weird reality we're living in, because it really draws to mind Weird Al Yankovic, for me, Yankovic, where he had that nuclear Christmas. Ground Zero, I think, was the song. And it talked about what a nuclear Christmas will be like. And we've seen it all over. You know, we've seen it in media. We've seen it in comic books. We've seen it in The Simpsons, of course, which seems to be a real predictor of what's going on, which scares me about some of the things that they've said. So we see these countries really taking up action in a wartime footing. They said that this is a clear escalation. Biden, Macron, Starmer, they want an escalation, which will lead to, in the worst case scenario, a nuclear war that happens before Christmas of this year. You're probably not going to be able to say Merry Christmas because you'll be staying in your hole trying to hide away with your family from a nuclear catastrophe. This is a development that will take place very, very quickly. Well, isn't that just nice and doomy gloomy? As we prepare for this Thanksgiving, I give thanks for IOSAT tablets. IOSAT tablets brought to you by the great American government, which bring to you your ability to get radiation out of your organs. I don't know what to really think about this. I just know that we are in trouble. We're in real trouble here, folks. And what I mean by that is no politician is ready for this. Even though they think they are and they have their bunkers, and Bezos has got his bunkers, and Elon Musk has got his bunkers, Taylor Swift, she's got her Swifty bunkers. We aren't ready, the people.
I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Ha Rakah Kodash. Double honors unto our apostle elders which rule great millstone well, and shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. To the elect of the nation of Israel, may you endure into the end. Shalom wa abba babal. All right, so you hear the rumors of war, right? They're talking about nuclear destruction or nuclear war by Christmas. Right, these heathens' Christmas, which Christmas celebrates death of the anointed, which more likely you're going to see the persecution of the saints by Christmas, all right? Because the Lord's destruction, his judgment upon this place, isn't going to happen until the rest of these prophecies are fulfilled, which it prophesies the persecution of the saints, as well as an implantable microchip being made mandatory for buying and selling before the nuclear destruction of America, which will happen at the return of Yahweh Shai, which these are signs of the times that Yahweh Shai is returning. Look, it says Matthew 24, and it says in the subtitle, it says Christ, but it should be Hamashiach's return. All right, because he was a Hebrew, not Greek. Christ is a Greek word. He was Hebrew. HaMashiach, the Mashiach, the Messiah. All right, and it says Jesus, but his name was not Jesus. All right, once again, he was a Hebrew. Jesus is English. The J didn't exist until recent times. Jesus is a Greek word. All right, but they show you that the word is an actual Hebrew origin, because Yahweh Shai is a Hebrew Israelite of the tribe of Judah, and he has the title of the Lion of Judah, which is the Messiah. All right, and the name is here in the lexicon, right? Yahweh Shai in the modern Hebrew. Yahweh Shai, when you translate it, it shows you the closest translation is Joshua and not Jesus, showing you that these devils, these so-called Caucasians, All right. They're lying to the world. They're deceiving the world. All right. They deceived the world, and they are still deceiving the world. And they're eventually going to deceive the world into taking an implantable microchip for buying and selling. And then after this, the nuclear destruction of America will take place. All right. And that's according to prophecy. So once again, Matthew 24, verse 3, and as he, Yahushua, sat upon the Mount of Olives, looking up into Jerusalem, the disciples came up privately unto him privately, saying, Tell us when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? That word world, all right, in the Greek, it means a time period. All right, an age, eon. All right, an age, a period of time, an age, which we are in the age of the so-called white race ruling, the wicked, the red devil the Bible speaks of. All right, he's deceived the world. It says, and Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, because that devil, the so-called white man, is using deceit on the world. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many. And this was a great example. This is only one example. All right, but you got many false prophets that are claiming to be anointed. All right. But this image is, what they push in the Christian church, which is a false religion, and the Roman Catholic Church, which is a false religion, and the Islam. All right. Islam is just a form of Christianity. If you watch their behavior to what the Catholics do, it's the same thing. All right. They worship women. They got a book called the Book of Mary. All right. And that's why they go around that box and they kiss that black stone, because they're worshiping woman. All right. And that all comes from the so-called white man, the red devil, which sets up woman over the man because he's a fool. All right. So this red devil, he's at his end. All right. It says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. And we know that this destruction is going to be very violent, as prophesied. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. The end is not yet, because they haven't made that implantable microchip mandatory for buying and selling. So that's the next step. All right. It says, for a nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences. Which this is happening. We have racial tensions, nation against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, World War III. And there shall be famines. They just reported they're about to make an executive order causing famine in America. And pestilences, diseases from plagues that the Lord sends upon this place. And earthquakes in diverse places, right? California is off the chain with earthquakes right now. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Pretty much it's the beginning of Jacob's trouble. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, which they're going to persecute the prophets of Israel, and shall kill you. Not all of us, but there shall be some of us that are sacrificed. And ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake, because we're telling you that Yahweh is going to send his son Yahushua to judge the world. So they're offended at that. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. Which that's why World War III is going to be, is the Lord's going to turn the hearts of these kings against Babylon the Great, America, the whore that rides the beast. It says, and many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many, right? Because they're looking for, there's a spirit that has a zeal, but there's a lack of knowledge because they got a lot of deceit going on in the world. Esau Edom's pushing out a wicked vibration. So you got a lot of Israelites that are going to be deceived. All right, it tells you in the prophecies that it's 2/3 that are in America, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, no matter what you look like, whether you look like a so-called white man or you look like a so-called Chinese man. But if you go back to the bloodline of being a biblical Hebrew Israelite, all right, if you take that device, you're going to be left here to be melted here with the heathen, all right, because Yahweh Shai is coming with the armies of heaven at the command of his father Yahweh, and he's going to gather his elect so that they don't suffer that same wrath and, in fact, avenge us because they're going to persecute us, all right? It says, and because iniquity shall abound, this is the most wicked generation, most godless generation. The love of many shall wax cold. It's a very evil, violent place now. Darkness covers the world. Why? Because the so-called white man is ruling, the red devil the Bible speaks of. And why is he in power? Why are the heathen over us? Because we sinned as a nation. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. We're going to be saved by Yahweh Shai. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. Which really, this already happened in 2007 with the internet. The gospel was able to go up on YouTube, and now, everywhere. I've showed a picture I saw on a documentary of little kids in the deepest parts of the jungle with cell phones. So this truth has reached all over the world into some of the most remote places. Hey, prisoners have cell phones and tablets and all this, right? So everybody's heard about the Israelites. Everybody's heard about this truth, all right? Them that are ordained to hear about it and be saved. Now, the judgments are playing out because we are at the end. Right now, it's like the time of Noah, right? And before the doors shut, there was drops of water coming. Doop, doop. What the heck? And the Lord said, let's go. It's time to go. Get in that boat. And it was the Lord had an angel shut that door. See, just like right now, there's rumors of nuclear war. They're making moves with their pens to bring forth that nuclear war. There's moves that are, drawing everyone into that land, the valley of Jehoshaphat. All right? Right before all hell breaks loose. But before that happens, they have to make that implantable microchip mandatory for buying and selling, and they have to persecute the saints. Okay? And then the Lord's going to avenge us. Okay? So in Jeremiah 30, it says, I just started at the top. It says, the word that came to Jeremiah from Yahweh, saying, thus speaketh the supreme power Yahweh of Israel, saying, write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. And that's why we have these scriptures. It was prophetic prophecy, right? Prophecy, the writings of these words are prophetic, and it's speaking about Yahweh Shai. Holy men moved by the power of Yahweh through spirit. It says, for lo, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, saith Yahweh, which Jeremiah was prophesying to the Israelites about Babylon, all right? And also, he was prophesying of Babylon the Great, which is America. It says, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it, which we did do that in the time of ancient Babylon. Eventually, the Lord allowed the Israelites to go back, but there was always a remnant there, right? Except for this time under the so-called white man. which in 70 AD, the Roman Edomites, the so-called Caucasians back then, all right, they chased us out of the land, okay? You had the northern kingdom over here. They came on Assyrian ships to the western hemisphere of the world, but you still had Judah, Benjamin, and Levi because, you know, the Messiah came through Judah. Judah was still over there, okay, in the land of Israel. But in 70 AD, did the Lord have Esau under the name Roman, right? The Romans, which they spoke the Latin, right? They destroyed Jerusalem, raise it. You know what I'm saying? And the Lord had the southern kingdom flee to Africa, West Africa, and that's why when they came here in America on slave ships, they came from West Africa because they were running from those Roman Edomites. Okay? Today are the so-called Caucasians. It says, and these words, these are the words that Yahweh spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. So now, southern and northern kingdom together. All right, remember, we were split, but now we're together. For thus saith Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Which I just heard a voice of fear and trembling, not of peace. He's saying World War III, nuclear destruction of America by Christmas is pretty much what he's saying, because Russia said they got nuclear weapons and they'll shoot so many of them, which is prophesied, that millions of missiles, millions of nuclear warheads will devour the flesh of America. It says, ask ye now, and see whether a man doth travail with child, because it's going to be so horrible. All right? And this is about to be before the nuclear destruction of America. Remember, there's still prophecy that has to play out. Before, they're thinking the nuclear destruction is the worst thing, but really there's more to come before the nuclear destruction. Okay? It says, which the nuclear destruction is the ultimate judgment. Don't get me wrong. You know, don't get me wrong. That judgment, you don't want to be in that lake of fire. You know, that's why we fear the Lord, and we're praying and hoping to be, you know, of the elect and not of that judgment, which the elect, they've been ordained not to be of that judgment. They will not be deceived. All right? It says, ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, right? As a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Allah's, which is an expression. For that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Jacob are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. What you got to remember is this devil, when he gets in a tight spot, he pulls out that sword and gets to killing. All right? It says in Malachi 1 and 4, whereas Edom, the so-called white man, which is really red, it says, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, or we're in a bad spot. But we will return and build the desolate places, which they're going to make it desolate. That's what they do. They'll go in and they'll murder everybody, rob everything because they're impoverished. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, which they're thinking they're building a new world order. All right, but the Lord's going to throw it down. And they shall call them the border of wickedness, which is, they're the devils, the red devil the Bible speaks of. And the people against whom Yahweh hath indignation forever, but he hates them with righteous anger, and it's forever. And your eyes shall see, and your eyes shall see, and ye shall say, Yahweh will be magnified from the border of Israel. Which that's what we're doing. We're glorifying Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, all right, by what? By spirit and truth. And the truth is that there's prophecies before the nuclear destruction of America happens. One major one is that implantable microchip becoming mandatory for buying and selling. Another is them persecuting the saints because of our testimony. All right? But after this, the nuclear destruction of America will happen, and it will be only an hour that all these riches come to naught, which is Revelation 18 and verse 17. It says, "For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught," which I shared a Netflix documentary, which is called Buy Now. And that shows you that America fits the prophecies, all right, of Babylon the Great, which they consume everything. And then the rest of the world is covered in their shit, okay? It says, "For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught," meaning nothing because of nuclear destruction. "And every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off," which they show you that they're doing witchcraft in that documentary on Netflix called Buy Now. They show you that they turned everybody into a consumer. All right, all they do is consume, consume, consume. They literally go to work to consume, okay? And cried when all these other nations, their shipmasters and those merchants, see America go up in flames, they're going to be crying because they got rich off this place. "And cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? And no other city is like America." I'm telling you, watch that documentary on Netflix. Buy Now. Now, they do bring in the beast nations, UK, France, Spain, because they follow the same customs of America. America is the whore that rides the beast. The beast is those EU with NATO, all right? EU is the horns and NATO is the heads of that beast, which has teeth, the nuclear weapons. It says, "And they cried," Salakia, "and they cried, and they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city, America, wherein we are made rich, all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness, for in 1 hour is she made desolate," which this is going to be real. Why? Because the Lord has ordained it. He has prophesied it. He has said it will, and it will be. All right? And you see what's happening in reality. All right? All nuclear missiles are pretty much pointed at America. All right? You got the BRICS nations, but then you got even the European Union going to the BRICS. Look at Spain. Spain is already part of BRICS. The S on BRICS is Spain, and Spain was one of the heads of the European Union. All right? And then you got other nations that are once allies to America and now saying, hey, we're going to get down with the BRICS. So the Lord's turning their hearts against this whore, America, and they're going to eat her flesh with nuclear missiles. But it's not until that implantable microchip is made mandatory, and they're persecuting the saints for our testimony. But you see, we're still able to go on the highways and the byways, right? Which that's another prophecy, a famine of the word because of the persecution of the saints. So these things still have to play out. But the thing is, they could play out real quick. So you don't want to waste no time. All right, it says, redeeming the time, knowing that the times are evil. Verse 20 of Revelation 18, rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for Yahweh Bahasham, Yahushai, hath avenged you on her. And what have they done unto us? They're gonna hunt us. Revelation 6, verse 9. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar of the souls of them that were slain for the word of Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai, so the ones that were killed, and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on earth? And white robes were given unto every one of them. And it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were in these last days should be fulfilled. All right, because you have men in the past that died, right, for this testimony. Look at King Masha. King Masha, he died doing this work. You had some 2/3 reprobates beat him pretty much to death. All right, so not King Masha, forgive me, Abba Bivens, Elder Abba Bivens is the one that was, and he passed the torch down to King Masha, which is King David. Abba Bivens is Elijah. All right, so there's men that actually died in this truth, all right, for the testimony, but there's going to come a time in these last days where they really put the heat on us and they're going to try us, but then you're going to see who are the chosen of us. It says, let me see, or fulfilled. It says, because after it's fulfilled, after they fulfill who they're going to persecute to death, it says, And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, which is going to be a nuclear destruction of America. All right, that's why the earth is going to quake. It says, And the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, that nuclear winter that man was talking about. And the moon became as blood. And the stars, the nuclear missiles, the intercontinental ballistic missiles, it says, And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs, when she is shaken of a mighty wind, that nuclear destruction. And the heaven departed as a scroll, which is that mushroom cloud rolling up in the heavens, when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places, because the destruction of America is going to be so great, it's going to shake the earth. You're going to have tsunamis. The Rocky Mountains, they're going to be evaporated with the people. It says, And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men. And it's the Spirit. As I was thinking about this verse, but I didn't remember that it was in Revelation 6. I just followed the Spirit, and here we are. So, see, the Lord's in control of everything, and it's going to play out exactly as He sees. And we're the prophets, so He shows us before it happens. It says, And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. But you got rich men actually building bunkers. Bezos got his bunker, right? Rick Ross is building a bunker, right? You got the rich, and then you got even the elite. They got bunkers and space forces, which they're going to go hide. But even these low-level people that have nothing but gas money, they're going to drive and try to hide in the caves of the mountains. But the nuclear destruction is going to be devastating on them, all right? But the elite, which are not in America, right? America is a prison for the Israelite. They're going to be saved. Those elite, they're going to survive, not saved like the Israelite salvation, but they're going to be preserved in those bunkers. And the Israelites that are saved, that receive salvation through Yahweh Shem Yahushai, are going to gather them and put chains on them and put them in slavery under Yahweh Shem Yahushai. It says, I'm going to read that one more time, verse 16. and said to the mountains, rocks. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't think I did read that. So I'm going to read that 15 to 16 and 17. Revelation 6 and 15. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every man, and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb, which is Yahweh and Yahushai. Yahweh is sending Yahushai. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? You see? Because it's going to be destructive. Man, it's going to be such a destructive force for the earth to shake. You know what I'm saying? That's why he's going to gather his elect and put us in the ark, being the chariot. All right, those are the chambers he's going to hide us in. It says in Matthew 24, verse 29, immediately, when you see red letter like this, it's the Messiah speaking. He's prophesying of his own return. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, Jacob's trouble, they make the implantable microchip mandatory for buying and selling. They persecuting the saints, the famine of the word. Shall the sun be darkened and the moon shall not give her light, because the Lord's going to avenge us. And the stars, the nuclear missiles, shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. The elite will be in those bunkers. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. And I'm going to throw a little fire in there for you. Let's see. It's Exodus. This is when Yahweh came down in fire, from the chariot to speak to Moses. And he spoke literally to Moses, face to face, as it says. It says, and that's why Moses became spirit, and he was glowing when he came down out of that mountain. All right, it says right here in Exodus 19 and 18, and Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke, because Yahweh, which is the Heavenly Father, descended upon it in fire. Now this is literally Yahweh, because in a verse above it says, and Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with, it says God, but that's Elohim. This is dealing with the angel of the Lord. You see? God Elohim. In this verse, you got Lord capital, which is Yahweh. Right here. Lord capital, you see the name. And they pronounce it wrong, but it's Yahweh. 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 So it's telling you that he came down to talk to Moses face to face. All right? It says, because Yahweh descended upon it in fire, and the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly. And when the voice of the trumpet sounded long and waxed louder and louder, Moses spake, and Elohim answered him by a voice. Right? Which this word here is not Yahweh, it's Elohim. All right? But you see how the environment, it was shaking. It was scary. You know, there's that trumpet just getting louder and louder and louder, right? There's fire and smoke and lightning and thunder. You see, it's going to be a terrifying day when the Lord comes. It's going to be a dreadful day when the Lord comes. And that's why we hope and pray to be, we can't beg for it. The Lord put it in us that we do these things, which it tells you in Matthew, you shall know them by their fruit. We actually do these things because this is the fruit that, we be in those branches that abide in Yahweh Shai. Matthew 7:21, it says, 20, it says, wherefore by their fruits, talking about the men, ye shall know them. So you shall know them by their fruits. And we bear fruit as a good tree because we're abiding in him. It says in John 15:3, now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Abide in me, and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine, which Yahushua is the vine. No more can ye except ye abide in me. See? So we're bearing fruit. We get that again, Matthew 7 tells you here. Verse 18, a good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. And a tree is representing a branch off the Lord. Every tree, which those trees and branches are men, elect, or reprobate. The good tree is the elect. The bad tree is the 2/3. The branch that bears fruit is an Israelite elect. And the one that bears no fruit is talking about a reprobate Israelite. It says, every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit, the 2/3, is hewn down and cast into the fire. See? So just like in John 15, dealing with the branches, right? It says in verse 1, Yahushua says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman, which put him here. Every branch in me, every man that beareth not fruit, so you don't bear no fruit as an Israelite, you're not telling the truth. He taketh away, and every branch that he beareth, and every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. There you go. See? So the elect are going to be delivered, which it tells you in, this will be the last one, Lord willing, Isaiah 3. It's really, it could go on and on and on, because the power of Yahweh is endless. It is magnificent. Shit, these technologies break down. You know how many pens I've been through, how many phones I've been through, how many cars I've been through, how many clothes I've been through in this truth, but the truth endureth forever. How many emotions you go through, and guess what stays the same? The word of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai. So this is what is true, and this is what we hold to. It says in Isaiah 3:10, say ye to the righteous that it shall be well with them, with him. It's him, but it's really them, because the him is dealing with the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit is not one person, right? It's not singular. It's the angels ministering to the elect. For they shall eat the fruit of their doings. What is that? The fruit of our lips. The prophesying and kissing the Son. That's how we kiss the Son, as it says in Psalms 2. Kiss the Son lest he be angry. We do that by doing what he told us to do. Go out and preach the gospel. It says, for they shall eat the fruit of their doing. So we're going to receive that reward of salvation. It says in verse 11, woe unto the wicked It shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hands shall be given him. So the so-called white man got the judgment that's coming, and he's fitted for destruction. He deserves it, man. He deserves every bit of the judgment coming, which that nuclear destruction is not the end of his judgment. He's going to serve 1,000 years of slavery under us. Brutal, violent, merciless slavery under the Israelites. All right? It says, as for my people, and he's talking about these reprobates, children are their oppressors, these so-called Caucasians. When you watch them in their holidays, right, these fucking pagan holidays, they act like children, right? Their election system is like high school elections. They're like children. They're easily, they're gullible to the lies of their leaders. They're like children. It says, and women rule over them. And children need what? Women. So what do? They put the woman over them. It says, oh, and I'll give you a good example of that today. Kamala Harris. She might have lost the election right now as it stands, but she's ruling as the president, right? We know she's just a puppet, a glove, right? She's just a glove to the elite. But they have her in a position of power, sitting as the president, or well, they say vice president. But if the president is unable to, lead, they say the vice president takes that place. So we all know that they've been saying, the whole time that Biden is unfit. So who's leading, America is the woman. You have the American seat of presidency and vice presidency being occupied pretty much by a woman. Because if Biden is so-called unfit to rule, the vice president is in the place of that power. And that's evident that she could be in that position, because how could she run for that seat of president unless it was not, available unto her? So it shows you that these devils, the so-called Caucasians, they're like children, and they put women in positions of power, which they're fools. It says, O my people, the Israelites, which we were given order, they which led thee caused thee to err, which they taught us to go against that order. They teach you to break the laws. That's why just in New York recently, they made it, they allowed it anyway because they're hypocrites. But in New York, they had a law that adultery, if a woman was to commit adultery, it'd be against the law. It'd be a crime, right? Because at one time they tried to claim to be a Christian nation. But really, this is a godless nation, a pagan, heathen, filthy abomination. That's why the Lord is going to destroy this place with fire. All right? If China was as bad as America, it would have got its judgment. It ain't getting its judgment. America is going to get nuked off the face of the earth because it is the most wickedest, vilest place that exists in all times. It's the worst of the worst. It's at the bottom of the trash can where the maggots dwell. That's what America is. It's the slime that comes off the trash. All right? It says, and destroy the way of thy path, which they taught you to commit sin. It tells you in verse 8, for Jerusalem is ruined and Judah is fallen. Southern and northern kingdom both became Hellenized. Because their tongue and their doings are against Yahweh, right? They taught us to worship false idols and do those abominations to provoke the eyes of his glory. So now he's going to destroy the wicked and them that do wickedly. Malachi 4. It says in verse 9 of Isaiah 3, the show of their countenance does witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom, which that's why this place is called spiritual Sodom, because they promote the way of Sodom. It says they hide it not. It's called pride. Back in the day when I was a kid, they used to have a game called Smear the Queer. right? And now it's a crime, you see, to even you know, it's a hate crime to do anything towards those people, showing you that it's approved. It's a approved behavior in America. It's promoted in America. Babylon the Great, where you could join their army and they'll pay for your sex change. You could have a child that's underage, can't marry, can't drink, can't drive, can't get a loan, can't do nothing. But when they go to school and say, "Oh, I think I'm a girl or I'm a boy," whatever the opposite sex is, the state will step in and be sure that they get their way. So this is a wicked ass place, a wicked, never been before so wicked has there ever been a place besides America. And that's why America is going to suffer the judgment. America is going to suffer nuclear destruction. All right? And it's going to be never inhabited again. Never will it be inhabited again. And we praise Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai for these promises. And we look forward to them being fulfilled. So with that, double honors to our apostle elders, which rule Great Millstone well, and shalom to the elect, wa abal babal.